So let's talk about this, and what do you pull from that, and what do you add to it?
Well, first I want to just acknowledge that we have a badass woman at the top creating this, so Sarah Gamble. I think, you nearly said it just now, and Lev Grossman said it best, magic comes from pain. And I think all of these women are human. They're human, and they're taking those things that they're experiencing and the pain and suffering, and they are channeling it into something, into power, and letting it, rather than disempower them, they're letting it empower them into change. And I think that's the most heroic thing.
Speaking about being human, like not every single woman has to be perfect and strong every second of the day, because no woman or man is that every day. And I feel like all of us on this cast, our characters, show that you can be vulnerable, you can have depression, you can have anxiety, you can have things you're working through and still be strong. And I think all of us have that. And I know too for Fen, like specifically, has had this very quiet and understated strength her whole life that a lot of people don't see. And so for me personally, Fen's kind of a champion of a quiet strength, and a person that's been misunderstood and not seen as a strong person. But then she's surrounded by these strong females, like she befriends Margot and Julia specifically, these women that inspire her to be like, you know what, I can be bolder. I don't have to keep putting myself behind other people. And me, Brittany, too. There's so many lines that you guys write, and I'm like, did they write that for me or for Fen? Yes. Beautifully flawed. These characters are beautifully flawed.
Yeah. And you saw that so perfectly encapsulated in Margot's breakdown in this girl. Let's talk about the walls come tumbling down. We need to talk about that scene, because I know that scene was exhausting. Like, that was more than just a scene.
Yeah, that was more than just an episode. I probably lost like 10 pounds. But I mean, I was in heaven every second. It didn't matter how tired I was. It just meant so much to me that episode was finally being made, and there was nothing that was going to get in my way of achieving the performance that I wanted to achieve. Not the hours I was working, not my own self-doubts. There was just something guiding me, and it was the writing in that scene. And it was me, and it was one of the most exhilarating experiences I've ever had as an actress. I mean, I still don't fully, understand the experience. I just sort of immersed myself, and I remember there was one take that I improvised, "It's not my shame," and it didn't make the cut. But I wondered after why I said that, and I'm not like Margot. I don't have the voice she has. I'm still finding my voice, but I understand everything she said in that tent, and I think every woman living understands what she said in that tent. And I had the full support of the crew and all the women that were on set, and I just knew it meant something to me, and I knew it meant something to the crew, and I just hoped that it would translate to the audience. I don't know if I'm sounding articulate or making sense, but...
Yes.
Yes.
So this is like, again, he is somebody I'd want to drink with. But how is this guy going to regain his standing with these kids? Like, the turn was severe.
That is a damn good question.
It's not like you can just give them all A's and it's like, oh, yeah.
I can only hope that our brilliant writers will, help me navigate those, murky waters, because I think it will be tricky for me. And I like it to be hard. I like it to be a challenge. Fogg has, I've been asked so many times, and I think even earlier today, is Fogg a good guy or a bad guy? And I always want to play him that way. So, keep you guys guessing. But I think if you really look at Fogg, he really does care. He really does. Yeah. Right? Yes. Okay.
You are what very few actors get the chance to play the same character from different universes. And at this point, you have played them almost at the same time, same amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. What has that been like for you? Processing, like basically letting go of the first one, but keeping the essence of who Penny would be. And which one do you like more?
How do I choose? I don't. I don't have to. No one has to, which is great. It's been a huge gift. It was really challenging at first, and I really appreciate that when I think it was Mike that wrote that episode 11. Oh, Henry, sorry, shit, my bad. That's right, my career. It was when when Penny 23 was being introduced, they really let me into the conversation about what were you seeing, what was exciting to me, and I really appreciate that I was able to have a conversation with them, but they'd written into the script already, the differences there, and it's been immensely challenging, but at the same time so fun and so gratifying, and it was just so fun in the 6th episode of last year where I got to have them meet and really see let those same things and those differences show up, especially where Penny 40's, how he's developed, and it sort of turned into this really like big brother, little brother relationship that I wasn't really expecting, but it was really it's just been the most fun I could possibly have. I will be honest that Penny 40 holds a special place in my heart because it was the first, but Penny 23 is, as I'm getting to spend more time with him, has become really fun.
Okay, and speaking of having fun, Trevor,
I did not. No.
Josh,
I don't even know what we're saying.
Josh and Margot. It's one of those things that shouldn't work that works so well.
Love story.
You guys are cute.
You are
Margot.
You guys are
Something
like
said about
Donna. You're
Margot.
like Donna Martin and David Silver of Great Bills. What did you think when you found out that that's what was in Josh's future?
It's about time. It's about damn time. No, I felt really lucky because I think we touched on it. Margot is such a badass character that by default she makes Josh more badass. And Josh can always use help in that department. He's taking breaks from baking and whatnot. I was going to say it, but it's been a real joy, and it's a really cool ride, and it's a relationship that we didn't realize the magicians had or the magicians needed. So I really enjoy it.
I'm so proud of Josh, the finale. And as I mentioned previously, this show has never, you guys have never done something on this show without thought of what has come forward and what is to come next. And you've never done something without knowing that you needed to address the fallout or follow through with it. So how do you plan to have these people move forward without crunches?
They're grieving. I mean, seriously grieving in a real way, not in a TV way. You know, I think a lot of this conversation started with Sarah and I having been such close friends for so many years. And it was after many years of being close friends that we both realized that things that shaped our 20s, although I'm 800 years older than she is, but in our 20s we both lost our fathers very suddenly. And that really, we both were then able to kind of dig down as friends and as collaborators and talk about how that broke us, how that hurt us, how we thought we'd never come back from it, and how ultimately accepting it reluctantly made us the people that we are, for good or for ill. And we've always wanted to write about things that are real. You know, the only reason I write The Magicians is, as I've said many times, I'm the one up here who's not a big fan of fantasy, but I love novels because they're fantasies about reality. And death is the ultimate reality. And we lose people we love. You know, I was thinking, and this is not a morbid thought, I promise you. I promise. It'll sound morbid, but it's not. We all have one thing in common in this room. Right now, all of us, every single one of us. At the end of this hour, we are all going to be 1 hour closer to death. Pause to think about how that's not morbid. I'm really enjoying being here. Seriously, I'm really enjoying what I'm going to do after this and after that. Minutes, seconds, hours are precious. People are precious. This is my family. You're my family. And we're all going to die someday. You can look away from that all you want, it's going to happen. And I honestly believe that is the reason Sarah Gamble and I optioned those books with our own meager pennies 6 years ago, wrote those little checks, sat in my garage, wrote that pilot, thinking nobody's ever going to make a show like this. Come on. And it really is that combined feeling of wanting to deal with ultimate realities. So that's a long answer to a short question. I'm sorry, Damien.
That was a pretty long question. To film that scene at the bonfire.
Oh, the bonfire scene. Oh, you guys are talking about.
You
I was there, bro.
You guys, yeah.
I was, you know.
I think it was cathartic. It was cathartic.
I was very cathartic. I mean, I think that we've all experienced loss, and you know, when you lose somebody, it's an opportunity for growth and to find out who you really are, and that's just kind of what my character's going through. And when we shot that scene, I mean, it just felt so good for us all to be together and be experiencing that together. It felt like a very human moment for all of us as actors, and what a gift that we get to explore something of that matter on television. And that night was really special, I think, for all of us. And everyone gave a really beautiful performance.
It didn't feel like acting. It just kind of felt real. Because, you know, we were saying goodbye to this character, and we were saying goodbye to Jason. And it was just kind of like, no acting necessary. Just be in it, which was like beautiful and sad and all the things, you know.
You know, because the three of you really played the key relationships in his life.
Yeah, I think that Elliot's relationship with Quentin is something that he will be processing and reliving for a long time. I am grateful that Elliot got to live out an entire life with Quentin and experience love in a way that I don't think he could before they had that experience in the alternate timeline. So I think that it was bittersweet because there's the beauty of what they have and what they remember, and of course the obvious tragedy of losing someone so deep and so fully connected to your heart. So both those things are true.
All right. And on that,
Give the quest for it. So, I mean, it's always been the philosophy of the magicians that in fantasy you may have a lot of rules that come your way, but that's not really how the real world works. And so I think it's probably safe to spoil the fact that Julie doesn't listen to this guy, but doesn't give her a quest. Just as we in the world don't have to listen when someone says not to do something. It's not really in her nature, that's not who she is. So it's something she decides to seek out and try to solve herself.
can you tell us who is under the makeup?
That's Sean McGuire is the actor's name.
Okay, so you've got him as a guest star. You have a
10 years. He's wonderful. He's one of my oldest friends. We
Got-
did a show together like 10 years ago. He's awesome.
Okay, so we got him. You've got a couple other names coming in, correct? Including one that Miss Brittany knew about yesterday when she was on our TV Guide magazine fan favorites panel with her.
I wasn't supposed to say anything. I was so scared. You and she were both so good. Does anyone watch American Gods? Are you
most gorgeous invaginator that ever was. Quincy Budaki. We've been wanting to get her out there for a long time.
Excellent.
We love her, and she makes an appearance this season. As this, have you guys seen that show You on Netflix? Leo Paco? Ludo Padovan plays a very important role early in the season, and he knocks it out of the fucking park. I'm really excited.
Nice. Excellent. We are going to get some fan questions going. I think that's right back there. And while they...
Oh no, Jade can hit much higher notes. I once asked her, I think in maybe season 3 or I can't remember, do you have a 3-octave range? And she said, 4-octave range. Hence the Genesis of the line, 4-octave range, bitch. Now, there will be a musical episode. It will be it's going to be a little bit later in the season, and all I can tell you is it's going to be probably our most plot-intensive musical.
This is all news to me. I haven't heard a word.
And I just thought of this 40 seconds ago.
As long as you promise to give us Hill writhing in the desert sun.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I don't repeat costumes.
Yeah.